Hello, and welcome to Tortall Sisters, a book club podcast about the works by Tamora Pierce. I'm Marisa.
And I'm Ariana.
And that's the intro.
That's it.
However, this time I have something to bring to everyone's attention. There is, in fact, a petition to get the Circle of Magic books back into print. So right now, the Circle of Magic books and the Circle Opens books are not in print right now. You can only buy them digitally.
Boo.
I very thankfully found a copy of Shatterglass at a used bookstore like a month before recording this. That's the only way
Yay.
I was able to get a copy of this book. And it's even the exact same cover that Ariana has.
It's the exact same one.
It's the exact same one. It's less battered than our copy.
This one is quite well read.
Yeah. But the only way I was able to get that in print was to find it at a used bookstore. So if you guys go sign the petition, which is in the notes and also in the chat if you are viewing this live. So go sign it. We need to make this happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so also, another preface to this, right? Elephant in the room, we haven't recorded since February.
What?
And I am going to say, sorry, y'all. I survived a school shooting, and it fucked with me. So, we're just gonna let it go.
Mm-hmm.
We're here now. But what?
It was just... Mm-hmm. Sorry, I was just going to say this. It was just a time skip. They happen all the time in these books.
It's true. The time skips happen all the fucking time. So what book did we read this time, sister?
This time, we read, which you know if you came to the actual recording, because we've been showing the cover, was the fourth in the Circle Opens series, and it's titled Shatterglass.
So, Shatterglass. Let's dive on in.
Yeah.
I got very wrapped up in this,
Risa did
notes.
2/3 of the notes.
I was on a roll, and so I just did a lot of it, and it's a lot more in depth than the ones we've been doing recently, so strap on in.
I felt the need to keep up, and it was daunting, and I was like,
don't worry about it. So, yeah. Time to listen to me talk for quite a bit today. Triss, Nico, and most importantly, Little Bear have traveled to ancient Greece. I mean, Tharios. It's definitely based on, it's very Greek.
Very Greek.
And the language also is very heavily Greek-based. So,
yeah, very, very honestly, Greek meets some Indian custom exactly. and crossover, you know.
Yes. So that's Tharios. Tharios is on the southern hemisphere, which is fucking awesome. That in a fantasy world we're talking about hemispheres. A+, Tammy.
Yep.
They are there for a big seer conference Nico is attending, which again, scholarly conferences in a fantasy novel is just fantastic. We're starting this entire thing off very strong.
It's a very Terry Pratchett touch.
It is, though. Honestly, Nico would fit in at the Unseen University.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure he's been there, we just don't know it.
It's true. He Triss hopes to meet someone who scries on the wind here, but Nico says that there are none, and anyone who tries goes insane, which is, basically daring her to do it, dude. Triss is
by the way, that's going to be his mantra for the entirety of the book.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just saying.
Triss is immediately confronted by the caste system, which she, as a foreigner, finds stupid, rightfully so. But the deal here is that there are these people called the Prathmuni, who do all of the waste disposal, including, dead bodies and such. Normal citizens aren't allowed to even talk to them. Otherwise, they might spread the impurity to the other people.
You're born into this caste because you are already impure, so you have to deal with impurities.
Yeah, especially when you get later in the book we hear, and it's just sometimes it is just make this child disappear. Whoopsie. But we meet Kethlyn Warder, or Keth, who is a Namornese glassmaker recovering from being hit by lightning, which has affected his glass magic. More on that later. Triss watches as Keth tries to work on glass blowing, but she sees him pulling in a bunch of magic from the building around them. He's just pulling in magic, like...
From other buildings.
From other buildings, from the actual, like, deep spells in the streets, and pulling it all in, and blowing it into the glass. And as he's blowing the glass, this shape starts morphing and, like, breathing, basically, and then it, like, just breaks off and is a dragon flying. Just a little glass dragon.
Just a little dragon. Just
fucking awesome. And, like, I see that scene so vividly in my brain. And it's just, mwah. But Keth tries to kill the dragon because he's terrified because what the fuck happened. Like, you know, that's incredibly valid response, really. Yeah. But Triss stops him by zapping him with lightning, not knowing that he'd been hit with real lightning. So it scares the shit out of him. She tells Keth that she'll be reporting him and his teacher to the Mages' Council, not realizing that he doesn't know he has ambient magic. Then she takes the dragon, who she names Chime, and leaves. Then we meet Dema Nomastina, a police officer on the case. Dema is a first-class citizen and is working on a case of a serial killer who is killing Yaskidasi, who are performers, and implied some of them are sex workers. And
we are honestly, like, sparing you guys from a lot of invented language, which is all very, very helpful and immersive, but it is so hard to keep track of. So just know, you guys, we have kept this very brief.
Yeah, we really are. I think the only ones we kept were the Yaskidasi and the Prathmuni, I think, because there's no way to avoid saying that. Like, there's no way to not say those words. But a serial killer who's killing Yaskidasi and putting their bodies in public places. This is very bad because in Tharios, death is considered, like, contagious to your soul. Then Dema is apparently considered a bad cop. By the way, there are in-universe names for cops and police stations and mages, and I don't care.
Yep.
I'm not saying them.
And what they consider people who it doesn't matter if they get murdered. Yeah. There are words for everything.
And, like, it's great, but also it's so...
Great.
It makes us sound crazy. We're already crazy. But it just makes it worse.
Let's not add fuel to that fire.
But yes, Dema is apparently considered a bad cop because he wants to catch a murderer, which means he wants to examine the bodies. But the priests are like, no, you're going to disgrace your family and become unclean, so too bad, teehee. Like, no, they literally cleanse the death sites before he can even, investigate. It's terrible. Terrible.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. It's awful and terrible. Terrible. That's where that was.
I get it.
Yeah. Do you want to do chapter 2, or do you just want to do the ones you wrote and I do the ones I wrote?
I mean, I can do the even chapters, sure.
Do the even chapters.
Those are the only ones I wrote anyway, so that'll work. Chapter 2. Triss tries to find out about Keth, but no one knows anything about a glass mage like she's describing. Triss goes back to where she and Nico are staying. Page 40 for great line.
Oh, let me find the line that I was referencing. Oh, okay. She had just set an armful of Jimshida's books on her bed when she heard Nico call from the workroom they shared. Trissana, why is there a glass creature eating our antimony?
Oh, they're just so good.
I love Nico so much in this book.
I do too. He's just the right amount of anal and also super just chill and whatever, man. Just don't die. Okay? I know I'm only down to one, but this is one that, like, really requires a lot of attention because otherwise she's gonna get way too far into magic so that she shouldn't be in.
And, yep.
Yep. Nico tells Triss that Keth probs doesn't know he has ambient magic, and she gets to be his teacher since Chime's blood is lightning, meaning Keth probs has lightning magic. Tee-hee. I'd like to reiterate, Risa wrote these notes, not I. Keth lives in the sketchy part of town where the Yaskadasi live, Capek. It will be important. It is the pleasure district is literally what it's called, and not just not a sexual thing, just like this is where everybody comes to get their jollies. This is where we eat good food, we drink good liquor, we all the good stuff.
Exactly.
It feels real lively in my head. I like it a lot. He's friends with a performer in his building, a Yaskadasu named Yali. She is important, so remember the name. Yali is adorable. Keth finds out that one of the Yaskadasi in the building is the one whose murder Dema is investigating. This is very sad because not Irlamina.
Irlamina. Yeah. They call her Irma. They call her Irma. Irlamina.
Is that right?
I
don't.
Iralima.
What?
Irlima. Iralima.
Irlima. Okay.
Iralima.
Fuck it. I don't care. This bitch.
Ira. Just nicknamed Ira.
Yep. This is very sad because Irla's daughter is a girl named Glocky, and I'm just apparently not reading it now.
Sorry.
And Yali is now taking care of her. Glocky or however you want to say it is a good little girl.
She is. But I do have beef with the fact that she's supposedly 4 and that she is not being portrayed as a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
That's more like a 2.5, 3-year-old.
Yeah, I feel like she will...
We'll talk more about her later.
We'll talk more about her. Let's try to actually get through a story.
Yeah.
Keth comes to terms with the fact that he has magic and knows he has to find a teacher.
Yeah.
End chapter.
Triss goes back to see Keth, and on the way finds out that the Prathmuni are the only people who can deal with the dead, and priests have to cleanse any area touched by death. Triss meets Keth's cousin, who owns the glass shop, and finds out about Keth being struck by lightning. She decides that it's just glass magic so he can find his own teacher, and then leaves. Keth goes to the mage's hall to be tested for his magic. He gets passed around until an important glass mage tests him by making him glow a glass ball, which ends up being covered with tiny lightning. No one knows what to do with him, so Keth is going to be sent home until who should appear but the impressive mage Nicolarin Goldeye. Nico figures out Keth's glass plus weather magic and is like, tee-hee, I know a teacher for you. He's got twinkling brown eyes at one point in that scene. So Teehee is...
The only time his eyes twinkle is when he's being...
a little shit.
Puckish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
We said the same thing.
Nico brings Keth to Triss, and after Chime sprays his face with glass needles, Triss is like, fine, I'll teach him. I cut out so much explanation about Chime and the situation and the flames. We can't go into everything, but Chime makes the money later. And can just do things.
They end up giving... Basically, Nico is like, oh, no, this is a female dragon. I can tell because she's lovely.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
It's just...
And she seems to respond well to it, so it's like, all right then. Sorry, continue.
Elsewhere, Dema is brought Keth's lightning ball, except all of the lightning has cleared, and the middle is a vision of a dead Yaskadasu. They go to the location, and the dead girl is in fact there, so Dema needs to find the maker of the glass ball. They're globes, orbs, balls, we call them all sorts of things.
I tried to stick to globes, personally, I think. Or did I go orbs? I may have gone orbs a couple times. Fuck if I remember. Okay, so chapter 4. So, this is the first one I wrote, so, sorry. So Triss and Keth's relationship is off to a great start, and we have to go over why someone so young is qualified to teach a grown man, and he asks why she doesn't have a mage kit, so she explains that her braids are her mage kit, casual. She just kind of takes up the magical energies of tsunamis and earthquakes and fires, what what have you. It's just little errant winds, you know, the normal shit.
Normal teen girl stuff.
Just so she can borrow energy from time to time. It's fine.
It's fine.
And I said, I'm sure she will use these quite sparingly in this book. Yes. They tell Keth that his latent magic probably saved his life when he was struck by the lightning bolt, which should have killed him. He disagrees because ableism is really strong in professions of creation. Now that he can only do a fraction of what he could do when he was able-bodied, he doesn't think his life has use, and it just really hurts to see. Really, really hurts in this one. Nico and Jumshita have, like, a seer gala to go to. I don't know.
So Jumshita, we didn't actually explain who she was.
We did not.
We never did. We were like, Jumshita, obviously.
Jumshita. I mean, that's about as much information as we get.
She's like
we just have to figure out.
She's the big mage.
Yeah. She's the big cheese mage, and they are staying at her house.
Yeah, for the conference.
Yeah. But they show up dressed to the nines. They're going to a gala of sorts. So they leave the two to have dinner without them. Triss is surprisingly cordial with her new students, like a combination of Sandra and Rosethorn. So it's like teasing to like kind of ease him up, and also just, being Triss and not holding back her, comments. While also being strangely considerate for Triss. There's a lot of like consideration that goes into her every thought in this book.
Really like it. I really fucking like. I'll have a lot to say at the end.
Yeah. As they get to know one another, he is very quick to understand the difference between blood and family, because, he's like, oh, okay, so you do have family. It's just your siblings and that are all over the place, and it's just like, yes, beautiful. No more needed. As a glassblower, Keth understands the breathing part of meditation, but not how it applies to magic. It's much harder to teach someone to adjust something they already know than it is to teach them something new, so I feel for them both during all of this. Because basically a lot of this time is spent with him being frustrated and saying basically that he knows what he's doing, and Triss is just kind of like biting back without magic, but I know the magic part, kid. But he's an adult man, and therefore he cannot be taught by a child. A little girl. But he never really talks like that. Anyway, suddenly the cops just come in, don't explain shit, and take Keth into custody of Dema. Triss is like, well, he's my student, therefore my charge, so I'm going with him. As Dema makes it clear to Keth that he believes him to be the ghost, the whole thing is news to Triss because she is damn tunnel visioned as fuck. She's like, wait, someone's been murdered? He's like, oh, they think I'm the ghost. What the hell's the ghost?
I know, I love it.
It's like, you silly, silly girl. She quickly confers with her client because she is obviously his lawyer in this, and asks if he is the killer. He is disgusted by the idea as she casually brandies it about, and then we get classic buddy cop scene. Yes, it is important that I read this. Just for curiosity's sake, how long have you been student and teacher? Dema asked. The circle of... I can't. Keth and Triss looked at each other and shrugged. 2 hours? Asked Keth. Something like that, Triss replied. It's like, oh, these two. See, quick bonding. Oh, man. Yeah. They're already bickering. Ugh.
She's like, haha, caught another brother.
Of course he's in cuffs. This is my new brother.
Really, it endears her to him.
Yes, absolutely.
So Keth and Triss, because she won't leave him, are taken to the police station for questioning, and then they're gonna torture him. Triss protects him and is very Triss about it. So that was just 1 minute. Everyone turned to stare at Triss, who had risen from her chair. The door yanked out of Nomastina's hands and slammed shut, as if a high wind had blasted through the windowless room. Keth, get up, Triss ordered, her eyes fierce. Keth obeyed without realizing he was taking instructions from her. Triss walked over to stand between him and the cop. To Nomastina, she said, Now, I've been nice and cooperative so far. Her eyes blazed up at the Therian. We came peaceably. We didn't make trouble. You had your disgusting show back there exhibiting that poor girl to us without so much as covering her face. But I am at the end of my patience. You are not torturing Keth. You're going to get a truthsayer like a civilized human being. I'm like, she learned a lot from Rosethorn.
Yep.
She learned a lot from Rosethorn. Oh, the Rosethorn jumps out.
The Rosethorn, tempered by the Sandry. Like,
yeah. Oh, man.
She gets very on her royal about it,
She does, yeah. No, that's a great way to put it. She does. And then the next part that, Keth saw a spark crawl out of one of her braids, then another and another. Please listen to her, he begged, suddenly as afraid of her as he was of torture. You won't like it if she loses her temper. I still want to know why you're in my way. Okay, wait, but, though she stood only as high as the cop's collarbone, there was no question in Keth's mind who dominated the conversation. Triss.
By raw power alone, Triss is...
and then
needs to step aside.
And then she brings up, a very quick, shield around him, and they're like, Damon's like, do you know how long it would take me to raise protections like that? You're starting to scare me. Join the guild, Keth muttered. Oh, we have fun here. So Damon decides, after questioning, that Keith is innocent, but Nico comes anyway to be a truthsayer.
You definitely just called him Keith.
Whatever, he's Keith now.
He's Keith.
Keith
Warder.
It's gonna happen. I'm sorry, guys.
Works for me.
Damus suggests that Triss use the making globes as a lesson for Keith's magic. Keth's magic. Because he's like, if you're gonna do it, you might as well give us some stuff, right? To help your magic, right? Yeah, not us, not helping us, helping you. Next day, Triss decides she needs to help Keth with his fear of lightning, so she rides winds up to the tallest tower in another very Triss move of being very pleased with herself and avoiding physical effort.
I feel you, girl.
I feel ya. So she rides the winds up so she can look at the weather and free up some storms to come down to the city. She uses up too much magic doing the whole thing and has to drain energy from her weather braids to pep herself up. Triss once again curses not being able to scry on the wind. Yali comes to where Triss is staying to see if Keth is alright, fearing he had been tortured, because that's where they went after they left the police station. So Yali showed up, being afraid that he had been tortured. The cook is incredibly bigoted.
A bitch.
Just, wow. And, you can't let her kind in here, because, Yali's a Yaskadasu. And so, she's like, you can't let, she doesn't go further than the dining room. The fuck? But
hey, once you outrank somebody in a class, then you have to pull it out every chance you get.
I guess. Then Triss gets peeved, but Yali is like, c'est comme ça,
Chapter 6. The cook is all sweet with Keth, and we get some Tharian food description, which sounds like the loveliest Mediterranean Indian blend, and then Triss comes down to the table, and she has quite a lot of energy for someone who was definitely not slept. I put probably in there, but I that was yesterday, and I read back over the part, and I was like, no, she definitely didn't sleep at all. Keth starts out like, oh wow, she really is so young, but so wise, and then she tells him it won't be easy, and he's like, she doesn't get it. A journeyman like me will have no trouble now that I know what I'm dealing with. He's like, come on. I've put time into my craft. I get it now that I know that I have magic. To which I said, honey, you got a big storm coming. Because it felt applicable. Let me see. I did mark down a page for some reason. I don't remember why. Find a comfortable way to sit. I'm going to draw the circle for our meditation. But you only do a circle when there's danger of magic getting away, argued Kethlin. I was meditating while I worked. I didn't need any circle. We aren't doing magic. I am, retorted Triss. Chris. Cool.
Chris and Keith.
Chris and Keith.
The comedy duo, Chris and Keith. I'm sorry.
And if you're going to grip your magic, you'll have to let it... And if you're going to grip your magic, you'll have to let it out to work it. You'll do that inside the circle until I'm convinced you know what you're doing. Has anybody told you you're bossy? Demanded Keth. All the time, Triss replied. You'll never catch a husband that way, you know, he pointed out. A little sweetening would go a long way. She had heard this before. She didn't like to hear it from him, but she would tell him so later. There was magic to be done now. If I have to catch a man to get a husband, I don't want one, she retorted. Now sit. That was really the main reason I got to it, but honestly, it's the whole scene is so Triss. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it so.
Yeah.
Triss does an exercise to gauge Keth's connection with glass, noting she adapted it from Dodge's metal detection exercises. She does a lot of... She does the most... She is the one who clearly paid attention most to the teachers rather than the magic going on.
Yeah.
When it was everybody being trained, because she's like, okay, so this is how... Because she's like... She learns how... Basically, because she and Dodge are the cutest babies in the bunch, they... talked about, you know, okay, so what are these exercises that Frostpine had you do? I was like, I don't remember his name. Shit. Anyway, so as she adapts, as he observes the bowl and its form with his magic, he realizes that the glass knows what it is, and I love that. Yeah. I marked it, but I'm not going to have to read it. It's just like he describes everything about it, and she's like, okay, but do you know it because you know the bowl? And he's like, oh no, the glass knows. Basically, the glass knows itself. It knows what it's supposed to be. It's like, oh wow, okay, cool. Because I love when she puts personality into the magics.
Yeah.
It was harder to do with like Neil, because Neil? Is that what he goes by? No. What the fuck is his name in the first book? Sandry's boy.
Posco?
Posco. That's it. Neil. I went to an entirely different series. I went to Neil, and I am positive honestly, I had the worst time maintaining that child's name. I really do. But it was harder to get a personality from dancing, but like when it comes to the physical things, like we get the description of how the rocks are and the description of how the everything. Anyway, point made. Keth wastes all of his energy failing to make globes. Then Dema shows up to get Triss's help as an expert on counter charms, and suddenly Keth has lightning globe. I think it's supposed to be that it's because he wasn't being watched. He was suddenly able to just do it.
I thought it was that he was like startled by Dema showing up, and so it made it happen.
Is that what?
Just
it was?
like he got startled.
They walked away.
He got startled by Triss talking to him. And that's how Chime was made. So that's what I assumed, perhaps? I don't know.
He tries to clear it, but the other two quickly realize he's drained himself for the day. Hearing it from someone not Triss lends validity to the claim and assures him he isn't being coddled.
Chapter 7. Triss decides to visit Capek to get familiar with it. She laments, once again, not being able to scry on the winds. A man tries to assault Triss, but she puts him in his place without the use of magic, showing she knows regular self-defense as well as magical. I like that, reminder that the children have had that drilled into them, that they will not do magic for no reason. Yeah. I love that. Later, Nico notices that Triss has been using the power in her braids, and she's like, dude, I'm doing it for a good reason, and you know I would not use them willy-nilly. And he's like, yeah, you're right, but still. Like, she's like,
look,
okay.
I'm a concerned father, let me be a concerned father.
She's basically like, it's fine, I just need to keep taking this Adderall to be awake for an entire week so that I can continue with what I'm doing. And then I know I'm going to crash after it. So, like, I know what's gonna happen, but also, I gotta do it, dude. And it's like, did you have to do it, Triss? Could you not have slept, maybe? During this? No, definitely not.
Nothing would have happened then.
Yep. Yep.
She's got that rose thorn sense of if I'm not there, it won't get done.
And I mean, like, she's not wrong, but...
She's not entirely wrong, but...
Keth drains himself trying to clear the lightning from his new globe, so Dema sends him home and just keeps the globe with him until it clears sometime near dawn. With the lightning gone, there's once again a picture of the murder scene. Dema rushes to the murder scene, but priests stop him from investigating after having him followed. He fights with them, but they detain him to have him cleansed for 24 hours so that he doesn't pollute the city by going out after being tainted by death.
Luckily, he's able to speak with one of his sergeants and send message to Keth. Enter Chapter 8. Keth is told about the globe clearing and the Yaskadasu already being dead. So he's so thoroughly exhausted from yesterday that he just can't. It's the first like numb-ish reaction that he has to it. So it's like, oh. Triss doesn't let Keth make any globes, but we get a cute look at her being a stern but passive teacher, showing her Nico side. She tells him to go home and follows him there shortly after. She meets the other Yaskadasi and speaks with Yali about the threat they have to face in order to make ends meet. She's just like, wait, you're going out? I mean, you know that it's the Yaskadasu who are being killed. And she's like, yeah, well, I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do. We can't, people aren't scared enough to be off the street, so we can't be either. It's like, fuck. They're wasting their money and lives and capitalism, am I right, guys? Okay, so.
Yeah.
She also meets Glocky and learns about her mother's death.
Yeah.
The ladies leave for work as Keth has arrived. Side note, I love Yali and Keth, and they belong together, and I hate Tammy for it. He takes charge of Glocky and is told by Triss that she wants to have a discussion about lightning tonight. Oh, and she casually told him earlier that they would be getting rain tonight. I don't know what that could have meant, but, it may tie into this.
Yeah. Keth comes back to his apartment later and finds that Triss has let herself in. She bullies him into going onto the roof during the storm. He gets hit by lightning, but it doesn't hurt, improving Triss's point that lightning is part of him now. Next day, Keth has a better time meditating, and he's excited to try making another globe after lunch. But Dema shows up to tell them about another murder. He takes them to see the dead woman, and surprise, surprise, it's Yali. Because of course it is. Because we can't have nice things.
We aren't allowed to have the nice, happy, shiny person. She has to be stolen.
And Dema didn't warn them that that's who he had a suspicion that it was Yali. And he didn't tell them. Knowing what, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And
it really is.
It's really fucked up. Because it's it really shows that Dema does not really see the Yaskadasi as people.
Yeah, as much as he sees, because he does see that he has a duty to them, being of the first class. It's their prerogative to, that they're meant to take care of everybody else, and he sees that duty and he tries to abide by it. But it's also
yeah.
Oh, does this affect you? I'm so used to people that it doesn't affect.
Oh, sorry. Right, you guys care that Yaskadasu is dead. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. So. Dema sends an officer to get bribe money from his family so that he can see the people in charge. The people in charge. That's just, exactly. So that he can convince them to close Kapik until the ghost is caught. Dema tries to go to the Mage's Hall to get support from Jimshida, but she tells him that he's being blasphemous and that he forgets himself. And Nico says he'll go with Dema, though, because Nico's a bro like that. Dema bribes his way through the system to see the keepers, the people in charge. I decided to say their name here, but not before. And tells...
I prefer people in charge.
Yeah, the people in charge, and tells Nico the reason he wants to catch the ghost is because of his duty as a member of the first class.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I didn't mean to skip ahead.
No, you were excited about it.
I was. It's the only redeeming part of his character to me, that and how much he loves... how much he ends up loving Glocky and honestly Keth and Triss.
Yeah.
But specifically the girls. He's just
he's
one of those meant to be a daddy type dudes. Chapter 10. Triss and Keth gather all the tenants of the apartments and tell them about Yali's death. Everybody loses their shit. But the most important reaction belongs to Glocky. No one bothered to even think about the little girl's reaction to losing her Aunt Yali after losing her mother. She screams out both their names and cries as much as any of the adults, but Glocky is taken out of the room by Poppy, who is just a bitch. I hate Poppy. I hate her so much. Anyway, After dealing with some of the adult hysterics, Triss goes to find Glocky. Turns out, Poppy slapped her and left her alone to cry. And meanwhile, Poppy's off being comforted by the woman who owns the lodge.
Yeah.
Triss goes to the girl and explains when she asks that when the dead people are coming home, when's Mommy coming home and Aunt Yali? Once more that Yali and Irma, as I put it, are dead.
We just gave her a lot of nicknames.
We love her, obviously.
Irma.
Are dead. She holds the little girl against her chest. The girl flails and fights, but Triss speaks calmly to her about the fact that it is unfair and Glocky doesn't deserve what's happening. And then she just kind of keeps talking, something Triss is good at, until the little girl has cried herself out. And she's like, oh, okay, she's not fighting me anymore, so I guess I can start, like, toning it down. She gets the girl situated, and Little Bear and Chime are kind of like her little calming totems she can reach out to. And in that moment, you go, oh no, I love this baby. Triss tells Glocky that she knows how she feels, giving an edited version of her own childhood and you know, not knowing where she was going to stay after the person who took care of her died. And basically, it's very obvious to all of us that she has adopted this child, but I think there's part of her that's still trying to, like, work around it. Then she leaves her to sleep. Keth comes home to find Triss and Glocky having given up on calming he's given up on calming the lodgers. Keth has the audacity to suggest Triss goes home and leaves Glocky, which is absolutely outrageous. And she says she will stay until she has something more permanent set up for the girl. The next day, Triss is able to stop by Jamshida's to check in with Nico. Can I say how much I love the check-in scenes in these books? So good. Just, mwah, chef's kiss. And I definitely wanted to just read parts of it. There's... Oh, wait, and then... Oh, okay, that's why, because then it goes to... so Keth tries to blow another bulb, and he loses control of his magic, and so it pops all over the place. And let's see... Glocky's there, and we find out that she definitely has latent magic, because she just, goes up and she picks up molten glass, and is like, oh, here you go, and they're just like... Very good. Thank you, sweetheart, because it doesn't burn them either.
Yeah. Also, doesn't she make a ball move or something?
She definitely does at some point, but I don't remember if it's after that or what. At some point she does. She does a couple of things that end up being like, oh shit, this kid's got magic. Of course her life was ruined at the start. You know? But yeah, so, She tries to adjust how she's teaching him, by paying attention to the glasswork. That's it. I don't remember why I specifically wanted this to be just read out, but that's what it is.
Okay.
And then basically we get a moment of her being a single mom and being like, okay, I'm gonna go get you some food, Glocky. You stay here with Uncle Keth. And it's adorable. Anyway, on to the next chapter.
Chapter 11. Dama comes to the glass shop after Keth creates a new ball and lets them know that he did not succeed with the keepers. But he is using his own money to pay for officers to go undercover in Kapik as Yaskadasi. The three muse on why the ghost is specifically killing the Yaskadasi, and Keth suggests that it's to shame Tharios by taking the trash and putting it in the clean places. I guess. Mm-hmm. Keth tries to remove the lightning from the ball after Dama leaves and is unsuccessful. Triss mothers him to get him to take a bath, and then page 254. What is it? Oh, Keth stood there staring down at the plump girl who looked up at him. If he hadn't been drunk with exhaustion, he never would have said what he did. You're actually a nice person, aren't you? She went beet red. No, she retorted, steering Glocky ahead of her. She walked away, disappearing into the crowds.
Oh, baby.
You're a good person. No, I'm not.
How dare you say this to me?
When Keth goes to the memorial for Yali, Triss tests Glocky for magic and confirms that yes, she has it. Triss decides that she'll take Glocky to Winding Circle when they leave so she can have a proper home, unlike Triss did at that age. Triss pays the woman who owns the building where Keth lives to watch Glocky while she goes off to wander Copic again, putting lightning on the coin so the old woman can't just take off with them, leaving Glocky alone. Chime spits needles in the face of a man who tries to rob Triss, and she's like, "Aw, well done. Good job." At the workshop the next day, Dama comes to tell them that another woman was murdered. This time it's a courtyard Yaskadasu. I don't know why I wrote that down. It means nothing to you guys.
Because they made a point to it, and there's no reason for it either.
That she's one of the ones who should be more well protected is what it means.
Yeah.
Triss asks if the police have questioned the Prathmuni, who might have seen something, and Dama is like, "Yeah, of course we have. We took them in and tortured them." Like, what?
That's the only thing you can do with Prathmuni.
They lie as easily as they breathe. Oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
Why is everyone so fucking racist?
It's so horrible.
Not racist, classist, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Caste systems, baby.
Caste systems. Triss spends the morning trying to scry on the winds. So I don't know when it happened. We didn't touch on it, but one thing that Nico was able to find, like, on wind scrying, like, he was able to find the original copy of it and give it to Triss. And so she's been reading through this book about scrying on the winds and, like, the hypotheticals of it. And so she's just been now training herself.
Yeah, I believe he actually said that it was written by a friend of his from Lightsbridge, who then went insane.
Yeah, he was like, "Don't do this, Triss." And she's like, "I won't." And then she does.
Like a liar.
So she spends all morning trying to scry on the winds. She does some spells or woo.
Whatever.
So she's just oblivious to everything around her. They end the day at Keth's lodging with all of the Askadasi singing and playing music together in what is an incredibly beautiful scene of just this lovely moment of, like, everyday tenderness. And it made me tear up just because it's like, it was just so lovely.
Yeah.
Like, this just group of people just relaxing, and someone just starts singing, and people join in with counter harmonies and stuff like that, and it's just, I don't know, just this beautiful community.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that people outside of performers don't quite get, just because they haven't necessarily experienced that kind of outward, like, community, this feeling of everybody singing a song that they all know, and everybody knows it so well that they know the harmonies, and there are people who have memorized dances to it, and it's just like that's such a that's just such a theater kid moment, honestly.
Yeah, actually, you know what's fun about working with babies is that everyone does know all of the words to the songs that we're constantly singing,
That's true.
And so we do all just start singing with children, and it's really nice, I have to say. It's something that's lovely. Okay, but continuing onward. Chapter 12.
Yes, chapter 12.
The most, like, confusing chapter in the book.
It really is, and I was at the height of being stoned. I'm gonna be totally honest here, guys. I was at the height of being stoned, and I went, I am not in the mood for this Tammy, because you guys know how Tammy likes to write when she gets to the end of books, where she's just like, and then this, and then this, and then this,
it's
and
like
then that.
Jump editing.
So, yeah. So I'm really trying to keep it together. I need you guys to know I tried to tell this as linearly as possible. Okay. Triss leaves Glocky with the babysitter, the lady who owns the place, so her student can get his sleep, and she can go out and scry on the wind. She thinks she sees something, but decides she didn't. However, those things that she didn't see do guide her to a couple of Prathmuni. I just need that to be known, that very frequently when she thinks that something isn't, oh no, I didn't really see something, it does lead her to something else, and it's like, bitch, how much clearer do they need to be? Anyway, she asks them about the murders and if they've been questioned about them. They tell her that the cops are just going to keep tormenting Prathmuni until one of them confesses and is executed regardless of their guilt. She asks, what if it is one of you? And they grimly reply that the streets would run with the blood of all the Prathmuni, because if one does it, then they all need to be killed. So, then things happen. Keth makes an orb and meditates while waiting for it to clear. Dema shows up to see if they've got an orb for him. Triss is super into the winds and it is concerning to those who love her. Everybody's a little concerned. Dema may or may not have been crying because he couldn't get her to wake up. It's really unclear if it was that or the wind, but he's tearing up. Anyway,
I think
Keth notices how much better taken care of and well-behaved Glocky is. It's a lot of like, oh, she's actually got her curls going and they're not just in some ratty mess and stuff like that. Because Triss knows how to care for curly hair.
She sure does. She uses protective styles.
Yeah. and basically he's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess that Yali and Irlamimum had to, spend a lot of time working on how they look, so they couldn't really, care for her as well. Just the demands the job has on the women who perform them. So Dema is like, hey, Keth, yeah, come hang with me until the orb clears. And then he tries to calm Keth's anxiety with the crushing reality that the woman in the still cloudy globe is probably already dead anyway. So it's like, they're just finding out where the body is. Don't worry about it, bro, okay? It doesn't have to clear. We're not saving a life here. Which, it is very realistic, but also very, very heartbreaking. Like, what the fuck, dude?
It's okay. She's already dead.
Keth gets mad and expends what little energy he has left, and so he gets delivered to Triss, passed out. Keth's globe clears like half an hour after he passed out. And see, I'm thinking that's what it is. It's always got to be when he stops thinking about a thing or stops paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, unfortunately, Dema and his gang get to the theater that it's going to be displayed in before the body can be displayed. However, Dema finds the body instead abandoned outside because the cops got there in time to tip the ghost off. He tries to follow the killer's trail all the way to the basement of the Temple of the All-Seeing, which is the main temple that clears everybody of the filth of death. So he's gone. He's pissed because he sees that the killer is just using their practices to cover his trail. He's someone who is so deeply ingrained in this caste system that he's using it against them. A priestess finds Dema and is like, hey, you're doing what you can. And he's like, but I have so many limitations. And she's like, but you're a good man and you'll get the justice you seek. And then she says his name, but he didn't say his name to her. And then it turns out, whoa, that woman was the high priestess of the All-Seeing. Whoa! And apparently now she has blessed him, basically, according to that sergeant lady.
Yeah.
It has no impact on the rest of the story, but it's like, oh, cool. So you recognize that this practice is stupid and you're still, like, doing it. That's cool. Anyway, go on. Chapter 13.
Okay. So the rest of this is just me because I got distracted and accidentally did chapter 14 as well. So
I was fine with it.
Yeah. Chapter 13. Back from another unsuccessful jaunt trying to scry the winds in Capic, Triss and Keth have a candid talk about being a mage and how it's not as simple as you would like. Wow, I thought magic simplified things. Oh, you sweet summer child. Next day at the workshop, Glocky wants to join them for meditation, and Triss lets her, and then she falls asleep. Which, valid. While Triss tries to scry the wind again, Keth gets the feeling for making a globe. He has Chime bite Triss to wake her up. And after he makes the globe, he decides he's going to try and pull the lightning back into him from the ball. And Triss is like, okay, dude, it's lightning, so you won't be able to reclaim it. In a very Uncle Iroh little moment that you don't put, if it goes into your body.
It's got a channel.
Yeah. It's lightning, so you're not going to be able to reclaim it. And he's like, nuh-uh, I can do it. He, in fact, cannot do it.
He cannot.
Yeah. Explodes the cullet. So, just, oof. When lightning starts to clear on the globe, Dema arrives, and he and Keth leave to the police station. Triss and Glocky go up to the city wall, so Triss can scry the winds again. She finally successfully sees an image and is able to figure out that it was a ship. Glocky is not impressed. She's like, I saw sails. And Clocky's like, of course you did. Like, there's ships down there. I
see them too, dummy.
Exactly. The globe cleared in time to put pressure on the ghost, and he had to leave his latest victim in a trash can instead of a big public place, which is, like, good, kinda, but still sucks for the dead girl.
Yeah.
Nico appears at Kath's place to check in on Triss to make sure she isn't dead. He meets Glocky, and Triss tells him she's keeping her.
It's like, I'm keeping the baby.
I'm keeping her. I want to take her with us, and we'll talk about the details later, Tristana.
It's fine. I already knew you'd found an abandoned baby bird to adopt. I got it.
You know.
I understand.
Been there, done that. Triss ventures into Copic again at night. I'm just going. I'm not going to make you try and read my notes. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Seeing the undercover police women and cringing, she muses on the ghost's motives, and 320 for Yaskadasi. Oh, yeah. 320.
Yeah, they are not believable, Yaskadasi.
Of course. Oh, wait. Yeah, of course, Triss thought with all the disguised police under their noses, they can't ignore the fact that the ghost exists. Triss eavesdropped on a group of girl singers. Triss could see that they were frightened, watching their surroundings and jumping at unexpected noises. I don't understand, one of them told the others, her mouth trembling. Why does the ghost do this? What have Yaskadasi done to him? Nobody cares when we disappeared, an older girl replied. If the dead weren't showing up outside Copic, do you think they'd have the cops out now? That can't be all of it, retorted the girl who'd first spoken. Look how many he's killed. If it was people nobody cares about, he'd pick the Prethmuni, or those who don't, those who live in the slums. A Prethman who swept the sidewalk glared at the Yaskadasu. Triss wanted to tell him that the singer hadn't meant it in the way it came out, but she knew the girl had indeed spoken the truth as she believed it to be.
Yeah.
Oof. Not
magoof.
Yeah. The next day, Kath gets the feeling of a globe coming on. He decides he can't take the lightning back himself, but Triss thinks she can send it back to the storm clouds above them. While waiting for the globe to happen, Kath invents a magical signal flare by putting lightning in globes so that they can, fly? Are they globes? Or they actually little butterflies? I kind of wanted them to just be little glass butterflies that could fly. With little lights in them. That's really what I would like it to be. I don't know if that's what it is.
It would make the most sense that was what he would do, simply because, we meet him and he makes chimes. Yeah. So it's just tiny little living glass.
Yeah, exactly. So, love that. Absolutely love that. After making a murder globe, Kath brings out the lightning and Triss points it to the sky. So it just goes right back out. Yeah, murder globe.
A murder globe.
But there is still a mist inside covering up the image. The globe finally clears at the police station and they see the Yaskadasu inside is alive, shielding herself from the rain by a bank. By the stream, not like a bank with money.
Riverbank.
A riverbank. Yeah, thank you. The police and Kath head out into Copic. After a bit, Kath spots the woman at the stream and sends up his little signal flare. He doesn't dare leave lest the ghost get her and slip away. Then he watches as the ghost strikes, and he decides to save the woman instead of trying to chase the murderer. Like a human being,
Yeah,
When the police arrive, but there's that fucking trolley problem right there. Mm-hmm. Literally, do you let this woman die so that you could maybe save 5 people later? Or do you save the woman that's right there and then the guy gets away and kills 5 people? I would have done the same thing. I would have just gone to help the woman. I wouldn't have done anything else, but it's interesting. It's an interesting moral dilemma. Yeah. Sorry. When the police arrive, they chase after the ghost, and the Yaskadasu won't let go of Kath, which good, because no one else is going to treat her well. When Dema arrives, he scolds Kath for letting the killer escape, despite knowing the woman would have died if he had gone to chase the ghost. Not cool, Dema, not cool. Triss wanders into Copic, scrying the wind once again. She sees the garden that Briar ruins in Street Magic, which I love. So I
love that.
She's
so
like,
good.
how does that terrible garden have his magic in it? I need to know. I'm like, oh, you'll love the story. But she also sees the ghost's hands in an image, and then she runs right into him, and he slips a silk scarf around her throat. At the police station, the globe Keth made clouded up again, and now it has declouded. That's what I'm going to say.
Because the future has changed.
When it gets cleared, he sees Triss inside. Right then, Nico arrives and is like, if you want that ghost to be alive to question him, we have to go now.
Like, it's not Triss I'm worried about.
If we want him to be alive, we need to go.
Yeah.
Chime spits needles into the ghost's face, and Triss kicks him in the balls. When she turns around, she sees that he is a Prathmoon. Surprise, surprise.
Right.
I was like, they were really building up for that. He explains that his mom was a Yaskadasu, and his dad was a member of the first class, and so he just got kind of like flung into the sewers.
He got fucking tossed aside because he would have been bad for his mom's career, and he was out of wedlock, and he was from a wealthy family. No.
Yeah. But during his little speech, he suddenly attacks Triss again, and she's like, God damn it, I shouldn't have... That's my bad. And then he tries to run off, but she follows the man as Chime slows him down, and she uses the power in her braids, causing an earthquake, and then she sinks the killer waist deep into the earth before solidifying it again, trapping him.
That's some Toph Beifong ass shit.
That exactly Toph. That is 100% Toph. Triss is overwhelmed by emotion and goes to kill the ghost. But Keth, Dema, and Nico arrive before she does. Dema tells her to stop because it's against the law, I guess. That, like, literally, that's his reasoning. Is like,
it's against the law.
That'll be murder. Don't do a murder. Don't do murder, because then I'd have to arrest you. Whereas Keth is like, do it! Kill him!
Do it!
And then Nico calls upon her conscience, page 345. If she don't like the smell of rot, she shouldn't live here. Neither should you. This is about Glocky. Her lightning blazed as it flowed down her arms, gloving her from fingertip to elbow. No, Triss said quietly. You shouldn't live. She put her hands together and then pulled them apart, creating a heavy, white, hot thunderbolt. No, Dema, let her do it! The familiar voice was Kethlin's. Don't stop her! For her own sake, she must be stopped, Nico replied. Triss should have known that Nico would see this piece of the future. There were times when having a seer as a teacher was a pain. Triss, give him up, Dema pleaded. If you kill him, I'll have to arrest you and have you executed. Is this what it comes to, Trissana? Nico called, his normally crisp voice gentle. When you sank the ship at Winding Circle, you defended your home. If you do this, it's murder. You will be a murderer by choice. He deserves to die, she shouted. But do you deserve to kill him? Dema asked quietly.
It's insane. And I love that they say that because then you realize, oh my god, she's the only one in this second series
who
doesn't kill someone.
At the end. And I adore that. I fucking love that because it's a different skill to have. Mm-hmm. And the others all needed something where they learned how to defend themselves in a way that was going to be necessary, but, like, affected their morals. Whereas what she is having to deal with is the having already killed, and now she's been living her life trying to, like, understand that she can't lose control, otherwise she will cause more deaths. And so she's having to actually harness herself so that she doesn't do this. Yeah.
Everyone else has to learn to, sometimes ignore their magic in order to, protect themselves and do what's right. But she has to learn to, because her magic can always kill. Hers is, like, the most powerful, destructive capability.
She definitely is the most powerful of them all.
She has to figure out how to protect others from herself at times. Yeah. And this is the one time that she almost slips.
Yeah. So it's a lot. I love this aspect of the story. I think it is beautiful. After sparing the ghost, Triss hurries to find some Preth money to warn them. She knows that they'll be massacred if they stay, so she urges them to leave and tell the other Preth money. Triss makes it back to Kat's lodgings before collapsing from her tide strength finally running out, because she harvested the power from the tides from her hair, and then using the earthquake, it used up the last of that strength, and she was like, haha, peace, I hope they look for me here. And then she wakes up 5 days later, and is scolded by Nico, though is completely unfazed by the scolding.
Yeah.
After a week, she's able to go back to doing things, and eventually Keth offers to teach her glass blowing, every girl's dream.
Oh, yes.
Dama comes to the glass shop for some closure to the story. He's like, I wonder who tipped off the Preth money. And Triss is like, well, maybe they were everywhere and you just didn't see them. And then he lets her know that the Preth money are basically unionizing. They're negotiating a contract from hiding.
Which, good. Smart.
Yeah. The end.
I wouldn't return to the place where I'm already a slave and then face probable, execution for something that one person did.
Yeah, hate crimed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to go back so I can get hate crimed.
Fully hate crimed.
So, yeah. That's the book.
That is the book.
What do we think? What are our feelings on it? I have a lot of feelings, but what are yours?
I do love this book. I don't love the story as much as I do like Coldfire.
Yeah, I agree.
But at the same time, it's some fun magic.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if nothing else, in this second series, we get someone with rock magic and someone with glass magic, and that's really all reason I need.
It's true.
But yeah, it's very good. I think some of the characters don't get as much depth, but it's also kind of like a hard concept to add depth to.
I feel like it is a good, what's the word? It's a good, ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not all fully fleshed out, but they all work really well together. But I really, really like the character development we see in Triss. In everything that she is very, very purposeful in everything she does. She is just, you see all of the work that goes into her. Into just having to rein herself in. And it's just, I love it because it's very, relatable.
Yeah.
It's very relatable.
Yeah.
Just having to learn as, someone with really poor executive functioning and self-regulation have to learn, purposefully learn these skills specifically around emotional regulation. Y'all, it's fucking hard to have anger problems and not be a complete piece of shit. It's hard, to be real with you. So I really appreciate how there it is. It's very explicit, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's real good. I think she definitely... I think Tammy definitely made it clear the order of her favorites, and it goes Sandry, then Briar, then Daja, and then Triss, and that's why she did them in this order, because the writing just gets more and more lovingly developed as you go through it, and it's obviously the redhead's my favorite, okay? We all know this, okay? That's the only reason I write redheads.
Yeah. But,
Glocky.
Glocky.
Is
very good. Love the character. Written like someone much younger than 4.
Yeah. It's I think it's really hard, especially for people who don't necessarily have as much constant
exposure to children
of different ages.
Yeah.
And especially it's hard in writing sometimes to write a young character and try not to make them sound too young or make them sound too mature.
Yeah.
Because it's it's a tough line to walk, but she doesn't come anywhere close to it.
She really doesn't. A 4-year-old knows what death is. To an that's not a huge thing to have to explain to a 4-year-old. Especially a 4-year-old who lives in an area
That
like
said,
that.
she does live in a place where death is basically immediately covered up.
That's true.
So I can see that.
But like the idea of like we're telling you that she's dead, and then she's like, "Oh, are they coming home?" Like, I think there's a certain amount of like that's too young. Mm-hmm. You're writing her too young. But also like a very 4-year-old thing was yeah, of course you do. They're right down there. Because, theory of mind is still developing, and so it's like, well, I can see it, so can you.
Duh.
Like, I'm looking at the sails, so obviously you can see them, so.
We're all looking at the same thing, Tris.
Yeah. Don't get me started, I'll talk about really cool theory of mind experiments that they do on children. Sounds really bad when you say
on children.
Like that. It sounds bad when you say it like that.
I think we also get a lot of good. I do like Keth. He's especially good as the student for Triss because he's like just as hot-headed.
Yeah.
He just can't be as quick about it because, by the way, guys, part of what he does like a lot of slurring his words and stuttering because of leftover, brain damage from
being hit by lightning.
Being struck by lightning. It does things to the nerves and shit.
He had to like relearn to talk and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. So the fact that he's making glass orbs is honestly amazing, but he can't. That's not good enough for him. He's not quite to the Doctor Strange level because he can't go around getting experiments done, but he's definitely.
There's some big internalized ableism.
Definitely. Which does come from physical crafts.
Yep.
It sucks.
It does.
When you're like, oh, I can't do this thing that I really like doing, and how am I gonna, return to my former how I do it? Not that I have this experience or something in literally all parts of my life, but,
So real.
So real.
So real. But yeah. Who is your favorite character?
I mean, obviously Glocky.
Obviously Glocky.
There's no comparison.
I'm gonna say my least favorite character is that fucking cook.
Yeah. But that is, honestly...
Poppy. Poppy is the worst.
I was gonna say, Poppy's the worst, in my opinion. I was like, please let Poppy die. I don't remember, but please let Poppy die.
She does not.
She does
Very
not.
sadly. Wait, what?
Wait, what are they saying now? But I do, honestly, at least the cook is kind of like, this is... Because we know that she's nice. We know that she's thoughtful. We know that but she does then have those built-in prejudices that just come with their society, and it's gross, and we see it for what it is, but it's like she doesn't think anything of it because
why would
that's
she?
How everybody is. And then we have Jumshita, who we think is sort of above all of that, but she's a noble classman still, and she, she's like, hey, Keth, you are, or I'm sorry, not Keth, Dema, you are,
out of line.
You're out of line here. That's blasphemous, and I'm gonna have to ask you to calm the fuck down because
I don't want you to spread your contagion. I am still
subject to the order, and exactly, it's like the gross complicity, just that exists in this little bit of society that we get.
And everyone's just like, you don't understand. You're a foreigner.
Yeah, you don't get it. It's like that because by the way. There was a plague 2,000 years prior, and their city is the only one that survived it.
Yeah.
And they attribute it to the rise of their priests.
And their cleanliness.
And their cleanliness. And it's like, well, of course, your cleanliness, but then they take it to this extreme level. So it's like, no, this is why we have to have our caste system. This is why we have to, have these different rituals for cleansing. This is why we have to make sure that that the church can oversee everything, because then, we'll know when things are happening before they infect the greater populace, and this is what's kept us alive for 2,000 years. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
It's like, some of this is correct. Most of this is not.
Right? There are just glimmers of truth in there, and
it's like, you guys, you missed. You just missed.
It's like, you could... There's science now. Hold on.
I know, exactly.
But hey, they'd just say it was made up anyway, right?
It's true.
We all know that.
We do.
We've experienced it at this point. Everybody's experienced it.
And in the books. But, because I'm meaning in real life, it's...
No, I meant in real life as well.
Yeah, no, and then I was making a joke.
In the books, I got it. It's fine. I was just lamenting humanity.
No, I know. I was trying to lighten the mood. But yeah, so what's my question is, who is the sexiest character? Oh wait, smash or pass, that's what we usually do. Jim Sheeta.
Oh, right. I don't know.
I don't probably she's got Pillow Princess vibes.
Yeah. That's true.
Pass.
Yeah. Pass.
Dama?
Pass. Hard pass.
Hard pass
for me.
Cops are hard pass. Kath. No, pass.
That's a pass. He seems like a baby.
Yali?
He seems like a baby.
Smash.
Probably, I guess. She seems like a baby too, but she's a much more knowledgeable baby.
They're like in their 20s. Like mid-20s.
Knowledgeable babies.
But yeah. So that's our smash or pass.
Yeah. Not a lot of characters in it, and quite a few of them are like
underaged.
Underaged, or just there's no way for them to have been sexualized. Which honestly,
good.
Triss, asexual?
I did always kind of get that vibe.
Right.
I always got the vibe that Triss was ace.
Yeah.
She never has any interests.
At all.
She's never attracted to any person. So honestly, canon ace, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like, I feel like, and that's why it's the story is told the way it is. It's like Triss doesn't notice the things that might be smashable.
It's true.
So it's like,
we don't get told.
If Daja was explaining the person, I'd know.
Yeah, Daja is very
I would
explicit.
definitely know if Briar was describing him.
It's exactly. Everyone is very polite and cordial with Sandry describes people in a very cut and dry manner. This is what I
very
saw.
much, and this is what they were wearing.
Exactly.
Take from that what you will.
And then Briar is very talking about people and their just characteristics and their personality and little things that they do that humanize them. And Daja describes everyone as this distant observer of, but appreciator. She just appreciates people and notes
They're akin to sculptures.
Yeah.
They're all a bunch of sculptures. She doesn't always understand the medium, but she can appreciate the form. And
then Triss, it describes everything as if she's jotting things down in a notebook.
Yes.
Just I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine by me.
I can't wait till the babies come back together.
Yeah. So what book are we going to read next? Do we want to read Will of the Empress, or do we want to go to Trickster's Choice?
I don't know. I had originally said Trickster's Choice so that we come back to them, but you had originally said that you didn't want to do that. So
no, I'm fine doing Trickster's Choice. Let's do it. Let's do the the Trickster duology in the
duology.
It's a duology. So I'm excited, I guess, for that.
I started it. I forgot how much of a little shit Allie is.
So that's why I keep putting it off. But they're fine books, but when your main character is such a fucking asshole, it's
she's the worst parts of both of her parents.
She really is. And she's just oh my
she's
God.
got that Cooper big dick energy, and she's got that Alana aggression and confidence.
The confidence of Alana and aggression of Alana, but with being really smart like George. And
smarmy about it.
And really fucking pleased with herself all the
pleased.
time. Sorry.
And then I made the guards beat the shit out of me, because I'm smart like that.
Yeah. So
I love you, kid, but Jesus Christ.
Okay, so everyone, Trickster's Choice next time.
Yeah.
If you want to give us money, please don't. Instead, go give it to Tamora Pierce on her Patreon.
Yay.
So
help her feed her colony of cats.
Yeah.
And also herself,
Also herself.
That's pretty important too.
Yeah. But sign the petition that I told you
we need
about.
Tammy to continue writing some books.
Please.
Please.
And sign the petition. So
yeah,
you can get these books back into print because.
And hey, we get them back into print. She starts getting royalties from them.
Actually, get this.
It's all beneficial.
It's all come together. So, as a reminder, I'm Marisa.
I'm Ariana.
And we're the Tortall sisters.
We're asking you to keep on reading.